You covered a couple of things. Here's what I think about us knowing about the problem with regard to government spending, because I don't know that the price of oil is going to fall very quickly, as you suggest. I hope you're right, and that the analysts that I quoted earlier are wrong. And I'm putting my money on you because that's what I want. I want it to fall quickly. But you talked about the government waste and how we've known about this all along. And I'm old enough to remember, and I don't know whether you are, William Proxmire. He was a Democratic senator from Wisconsin. And every month he issued his Golden Fleece Award. He did this from 1975 to 1988.
Right.
So he did it for a long time. Every month he brought examples of, you mentioned the expensive hammers, that kind of thing.
Right.
Ridiculous or ironic, wasteful government spending.
Yeah.
And he targeted projects he considered wasteful. And, for example, here was one that he did. The National Science Foundation. Your tax dollars were used, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have a National Science Foundation.
Right.
But your tax dollars were used, Proxmire told us, to fund a study on why people fall in love. That was the first Golden Fleece that he...
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Why do people fall in love? There's a song that will answer your question for you a lot cheaper. Anyway,
Right.
The point is, we know about these wasteful spendings, and we laugh about them, or we claim that we're going to do something about it, but nobody does anything. I think the president tried with Doge, but I think it was not a very smooth way of doing it, and they went crazy. They can do anything that they want, and so that was a real big miscalculation. I think in terms of form, it might have sent a message, but in terms of substance, it did not.
Yeah, the idea was correct. The execution was just wrong. But, when we talk about structural issues like this, until you really know how much fat is on something, you can't do a true analytical evaluation of the problem you're dealing with. And what kills me, and I think it goes both ways, because I think there's people that benefit from different things, like in the Defense Department. I could only imagine how much, waste is floating around there. And then in entitlements, you hear these stories of all the time of people renting these office spaces, no one's there. So I think there's got to be and Gary, I got to tell you, as someone that's dealt with some budgetary issues, this is partly our fault too, as Americans, because one of the hardest things that you'll see is when you talk to people about budgetary constraints, they look at you like, well, why can't we? Well, why can't we is because this is not monopoly money, and these same accounting principles and same business principles that run a company run a government. You got to have some finality to what you're doing. And people will get involved in government projects, and it's like I know what it is, because there's no accountability to the failure. That's why these government programs get out of control, because, like, I used to run a small trucking company. If I made bad decisions, I would go out of business. If you're in government and you make bad decisions, you just tax people more. You never have to feel the pain of your decision making. And until we get something like that going, structurally we're in bad shape. But I think one is an event and one is structural. I'll leave it there.
So it's not as if there aren't organizations within government whose job it is to watchdog all of this. There are. There are more than 70 federal inspectors general. Although Trump, which I don't understand it, given that he wanted to cut all this wasteful spending, he got rid of a bunch of inspectors general. But across all the major federal agencies, each of them has a inspector general, and there's the Government Accountability Office, which is the primary watchdog. Each audit federal spending, they identify waste, they root out fraud, abuse, and mismanagement. Great. But as you point out correctly, they have no authority to order changes. They just report them. And apparently, in spite of the fact that this administration wanted to cut the federal spending with this Doge thing, which, as you and I both recognize, kind of backfired, at the same time they were eliminating inspectors general because, I don't know, I guess some people don't want to know that they have a serious or terminal disease. So they don't go to the doctor. Or they fire the doctor who gives them the bad news because that's not what they want to hear. I understand that. There's a psychological reason for that. But you're exactly right. In the private sector, as you were talking, I was thinking about where I work. If my vice president and general manager, who has our division, can't keep things profitable, well, he's going to be gone. And somebody who can ensure profitability will move in, and there will be probably personnel as a result. So you can't, when you're in private industry, let it get out of hand. You're right. In the government, they can and they do, and nobody, apparently, according to that New York Times story, in Washington really gives much of a damn about it.
Well, Gary,
so you combine this with the current crisis with the gas and diesel costs. We are under severe economic stress in our households, but also we're in extreme economic distress in Washington. You combine the two, and I don't know, again, I'm not an economist, but it seems like that's a recipe for absolute economic disaster in this.
well, I can give you one example with I was personally involved with. It involved our city council, it involved our county commission, it involved some state people, and we was talking about in percentage terms of a budget, a significant amount to a budgetary issue. And the math was so simple on this, Gary. It was literally sixth grade level math that you could look at these numbers and tell they wasn't working at any level. I mean, a sixth grader could have done the math on it. And people, I mean, we had a meeting room with about 300 people in it, and no one was pointing out the obvious fact. These numbers just don't work, and I'm sitting here listening to these people ramble on, getting high on your own BS. And finally, the engineer was talking. I told him, I said, just stop right there. I said, please, just stop. And I laid out the numbers. And I looked at everyone, and I said, can anyone in this room that's so enthused on pushing this project tell me how these numbers are going to work? And they looked like us, a Grinch that stole Christmas. But that's how embedded this kind of psychological Santa Claus can become in government spending. Finally, I just told him, I said, because I had a deciding vote in it, I said, until you can show me how these numbers are going to work, I said, I'm a hard no. I said, now you got to tell me how these numbers are going to work. But it becomes so pervasive, it was like a out-of-body experience looking at people that was normally intelligent people sitting there saying, yeah, let's just bankrupt this place and everyone's going to be happy. And I'm sitting there just like, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. But I can only imagine this replicating itself inside the halls of Congress over and over and over, and no one's saying, hey, you got to make the numbers work. But I'll leave it there. I know there's other people
Yeah,
here.
just remember yesterday I was talking about how things were when there were so many houses underwater and people's houses were being foreclosed. Why did that happen? Because people, they let their emotions, when they want a program in Washington or a project in West Virginia or to purchase a home, it's just human nature. I want that house. I fell in love with that house. How can I make this work on my salary? And the realtor says, oh, we can figure out how to make this work because the realtor wants the commission. And then the mortgage company issues paper on a house that you're a poor risk for. And maybe you make it through or maybe you don't. And it's just kind of like human nature, and we have to have the fortitude to stand up and draw a line and say, I love this house, but I just can't put the money together. I have to get something a little more modest. But if you have a project in Washington or in West Virginia that you really, 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 really want, you might ignore all of those realities. So I want to say thank you to Steve, and go to William, followed by...
By the way, can I just make one comment? I think
Sure.
there is a number, right? It's 60. It's about 60% of debt to GDP. I mean, there's a level where we can function. I mean, it's not. If we can get the 60% of debt to GDP ratio, but we're now functioning at over 100%. I think we're close to. I mean, I think we're close to 200% or something. That's the problem. I mean, what we have to do. But no politician will ever get elected by saying, hey, I'm Scott Jones. I'm going to run for Congress, and my project is going to be to get us to 60% to GDP to debt ratio. No one's going to do that, and that's fundamentally the problem. I mean, it's just not. It's not an issue that will sell. It's the issue that's going to kill us. But people just don't know how to talk about it, and I don't know how to talk about it. I mean, it's the critical issue. But someone needs to tell a story about the debt to GDP ratio, and I don't know how to do it. But that's the critical issue.
Well, the thing is, everybody is, I forget who said it, maybe it was Steve that said it. These guys and gals, they all want to get reelected. Maybe it was you that said it. But anyways, they want to get reelected. So they have to bring home the bacon. And so I have a bill before my fellow members of Congress, and I'm trying to whip up support for the bill. Come to me and say, I'll support the bill, Gary, but I need something for my district. I need something to come home to my people. And that's when these make-up projects get approved by Congress. And this is when people end up, building these bridges to nowhere and so forth in order to pork barrel things to garner the votes that they need to pass the project that they want to see cleared to Congress. So as long as we have that attitude, it's just going to kind of continue, I think. We'll now go to William, followed by Marcus. Thank you, Steve.
So I'm with Scott. And actually, Scott, if you want to run for Congress, you can win on a cost-cutting issue of take back our streets in Philadelphia, because banning the Philadelphia Parking Authority would get you elected. Very expensive. It's a tax on every citizen.
The executive director of the Philadelphia Park Authority makes more than the governor of the state.
It's it's like a mafia racket, and they're playing around with a lot of things that the room would not be interested in. But that'll get you elected to Congress in a bill. Um, and I'm going to ride my bike over to the Mexican store and get some tacos and beans and rice. So I'm not worried about how much fuel I'm putting in my car, because I move my car. If I move my car, I can't find a space and I'll get tickets, and they're very expensive. But the cost is being driven up, I think, more locally in Philadelphia by the cost of diesel fuel, because everything gets trucked in here. So, some things come by rail, but the trucking, the cost of the truckers is going to drive up our prices on the fuel. And that's built into the cost of the products that are sold in the stores, cost of the groceries. That's one factor. There are multiple factors, like Scott was saying. The tariffs were supposed to bring industry back into the United States. Maybe it brings some, it loses other industry. Some industry was cross-border. Some industries are establishing themselves in Canada rather than the United States for a variety of reasons. And like the Griffin factories that are scheduled to go up in Canada, and that is also going to cut into sales of fourth generation fighters from the United States that Canada may have otherwise bought, or fourth generation. But there's a lot of things. The tariffs discourage business in some cases from coming to the United States, but they also, there's not a lot of new projects that have opened here, and they also drive up the cost of labor, because there's a lot of jobs that Americans really don't want to fill, and farmers not only are suffering from the tariffs, but they're suffering from the immigration policies, because a lot of our workers are, or what used to be our workers, who were living honestly and not committing crimes and paying taxes. A lot of them are being kicked out of the country. And when you drive up all the costs for living, it's going to discourage young people from having kids, or they'll put it off until later.
The birth rate is way down.
Right, and that is going to cause a demographic problem. So we'll actually need more laborers in the long run. And so the whole idea that we need to kick people out of our country because they're taking jobs, nah, not really. I mean, they're taking jobs that Americans often don't want to fill, and they are filling out a labor force that in many aspects is understaffed. And also, we're not immune. Like, just, the United States is an exporter of fuel. The U.S. production is doing really well because of the shale and the different technologies that have come online for petrochemical and oil extraction. We've got more gas than we can actually use. There's actually flare-offs all the time out west. I've seen some discussion about that. So, we're energy independent, more or less. There's certain crude grades of oil that mix better in refineries and that are beneficial to have to make certain levels of product, but overall the United States is energy independent. But the costs around the rest of the world are going to have a downward pressure on global economies. And so if there's a global recession, a global depression, and we're manufacturing things, and we do manufacture some things, who's going to buy our stuff? Who's going to want to, pay the higher prices for the things that we have to sell? I mean, it's not, we are connected to the broader world, whether or not you want to deglobalize or not. We're not making everything here, and we do sell some things overseas. And if you depress demand because people people don't have money for your products, you're going to sell less products. So overall, you just, it doesn't, we're not just isolated. We're not just Fortress America with two big ocean moats on either side and hostile neighbors to our north and south now. But, we have, we've lost a lot of trade. We've lost a lot of tourist trade for people that don't want to come to the United States from Canada because of the basically grotesque activities of the ICE agents and the hostility towards foreigners and the xenophobia of certain Americans and the tourist dollars are way down. That's an industry that's depressed. And, as far as the insurance, the insurance costs are off the charts. You want to ban FEMA? Terrific. How much is that going to drive up the cost for the almost uninsurable residences in South Florida? Or we're not into the fire season yet in the West. All these things, we have people that are working in government that actually provide value. They're not all just, do nothing, waste money jobs. They provide value. They provide value for the American people. And it's not just in the north and the coast, but, in the south. We're going to get hit with hurricanes. It's going to happen. Whether or not you want to believe it's related to global warming or not, it's still going to hit. You can believe it when the tide rises and the water crests over the walls. So, FEMA provides a really essential service for states regardless of political affiliation. So, that's going to hurt. That's going to drive up costs in one way or another. And it also, if you put people out of work, you're circulating less money in the economy. People are buying less stuff, and that has ramifications. So, you have to actually, I'm a lawyer. I'm not an economist. I just read things. But, a lot of these things are going to turn around and bite us in the ass. And that is a legal term. So, yeah, it's just a lot of things that are happening that are going to depress the economy. They're going to cut into real estate prices and make lower the quality of life for us and for our kids that want to start families. And that's going to be a problem.
So you mentioned the immigration issue and jobs, etc. One only needs to look at Japan. Japan was very, very tight on immigration because they want to maintain a homogenous society where everybody is Japanese. And, unlike the United States, people, and part of this may be genetic, but also they don't eat a lot of processed foods in Japan. And so they have a real problem there of longevity. People live much longer in Japan. That's a problem than people live in the United States, because now you have the need for elder care. And with the birth rate being as low as it is in Japan, they are now going to other countries in South Asia and encouraging people to come to Japan for long-term employment as caregivers. And of course, when people come in from other countries, there's a chance that there will be commingling, and the genetic base of the country changes somewhat as a result of the study that we discussed earlier.
People love their neighbor. People love their neighbor.
Why do people fall in love?
And that could have been sponsored by the CIA or the FSB. That could be valuable information. Why do people fall in love?
Right. So we're going to see that here. We're going to see a complete shift from the current strategy on immigration, I believe, as our country age and the birth rate is such that we don't have a lot of young people especially young people who are predisposed to doing elder care. And my prediction is, you guys can write it down, especially those of you who are young enough to be able to track this for a number of years, beyond the years that I will be able to track it. You will see a huge influx of Filipinos into the United States who will come here to become caregivers. They will leave their children home with the grandma and the grandpa, and they will make money, and they will send a good portion of what they make back to the Philippines as a way of providing for their family and improving their life. And if they are lucky, they too will find someone to fall in love with. As the study, we could go back to that first study, the National Academy of Sciences study, why they fall in love. Thank you, William. We'll now go to Austin, who came back, followed by Marcus.
Thank you so much. Oh, Marcus, are you in a hurry?
No, Austin followed by Marcus. Marcus left. Go ahead.
Okay,
Marcus.
cool.
So,
I'm so glad that William spoke because he was getting to some vital points. I think we're often chasing the wrong ball. We look into the 21st century. We have a lot of technology for alternative fuels. It's interesting, but Trump really seems to be working in the interest of the oil industry. Why are oil companies making so much money these days with oil prices so high all throughout the oil sector? It's kind of odd to me. But I think we're absolutely chasing the wrong ball. I mean, it's simple to look at the science of economic history and look what seems to be intuitive. You think, okay, we're going to reduce spending and that's going to help our economy. That's not the right question to be asking. And it's such like an intuitive tilt. Okay, I think of personal finance, I think of business finance, I think of corporate finance. Okay, we're going to reduce cost and increase revenue. But we're a nation, and we're the global reserve currency. What we need to be absolutely panicking about is how we're destroying the ill will of America. And even if Trump lives to 100, 120, he's not on this planet as long as a lot of us, and he's damaging our reputation in order to follow the whims of short-run pursuits. It's not a matter of are we spending or not, it's what are we spending on. It's been found that Keynes's science of economic expenditure, it's reality. It's not a matter of are you spending or not spending, are you spending on things that grow the GDP? It's absolutely proven that certain sectors of government spending have an outsized effect in economic growth. When money circulates through the economy, it doesn't just disappear. When there's fiscal policy by the government, it doesn't just disappear, it circulates through the economy. So I think it's good to be cautious, folks that are in the media and folks that are on the blogosphere. It's so simple to make the emotional appeal to worrying about the deficit. And it is a concern, it's something that we have to be cognizant of. But what we really want is to be at the helm of the economy. We know that if we spend more and create more debt, then our currency weakens, then our exporters are benefited. I think the key is to have agility and the ability to navigate between what a given instance of economic ideal might be at a certain time and have the agility to change depending on what's needed. And what we're really losing out on is now we're in the era of AI and automation. We need to worry about the brain drain and the brain gain. Harvard, Caltech, Stanford, these used to always attract the best and the brightest. It was an obvious choice for so many people to end up here. And a lot of people don't want to be here. And we're losing the best and the brightest, and that's a concern. I think we should maximize for longevity. We really have enough for everyone. There's just an artificial sense of scarcity. And I caution folks in the media and blogosphere, it might be easy to win an election on panic about the debt and the deficit and yada, yada, yada. But it's a science. Please chat with AI on logical mode for about 20 minutes about macroeconomics and economic multipliers. before, say you want to have a blog post on it, chat with the AI about macroeconomics and multipliers before going there, because we're in a sense of artificial scarcity. We have enough for everyone.
So your first comments about the where we spend our money and how it affects the GDP. According to the Pentagon, the war in Iran has cost American taxpayers at least $25 billion to as much as $35 billion. That's Pentagon estimates. The Pentagon reported a $11.3 billion cost for the first 6 days of the conflict. And the current burn rate is roughly $1 billion to $2 billion. So that's, I don't know, somebody can work out the math in their head. To me, that pushes the total costs much higher as the operation continues into months. So what's the cost of that to the GDP? I don't know, but I do know from my earlier readings about this that war typically acts as a major economic drain, although the president touts the fact that it is pumping up the U.S. military-industrial complex. So that might countermand a little bit of what I've read. But what I've read is that war in general reduces real GDP, especially in the conflict-affected nations. And long-term losses can last a long time, maybe a decade, maybe more.
Absolutely. We need to spend wisely. And if you look at the defense sector, and these days I'm all for a very strong defense sector. It's focused on defensive weapons and keeping us safe.
Right.
But a lot of it is not circulating through the economy. We just have a huge bull run on the defense sector.
Right. So I'm looking at the Kellogg Insight report, which says that global conflict in general, not this one specifically, costs $17 trillion annually. And that's 13% of the world GDP. So from an economic standpoint, aside from the terrible loss of life, obviously, and infrastructure that a war creates, you know, like the song goes, you know me, I always go back to the lyrics of the songs. War, good God, y'all, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And if you
but the asterisk in that song was, of course, The Undertaker. The Undertaker always did well.
And if we were spending that curing every cancer, think about how that would, just intuitively, think about how that would circulate through the economy, through the doctor's offices, through the medical companies, through the longevity. And let's focus on robotics, the building utopia, senior care robotics, longevity in the health sectors, because those grow the economy massively. Look at Denmark's economy. Thank you, everyone.
Well, it's getting a little bit weird with the robotics. In South Korea, they just ordained the first robotic monk. So I don't know if this is a joke that they were doing or whether they really think that monks can replace, robots can replace human monks in their religion or
Gary,
spiritual.
you're scaring me. You're terrifying me.
Sphere. What's that, Scott?
You're terrifying me now.
Dude, it's your own damn fault. How many of your fellow ministers have turned to AI to write their sermons, lazy bastards? It happens all the time.
Brutal. Yeah, it's brutal.
Come on. We can't generate our own words? This is the beauty of this forum, because people have to speak. And I know sometimes people are quoting AI, I get that. But generally speaking, people are speaking their truth to the room. They're not speaking ChatGPT's truth to the room. Monsef, followed by Dara.
Thank you, Gary.
Hey, what made me come up is the previous speaker on stage on some basic laws of economics and how they, how they make a country work and all that. I wanted to acknowledge William and Austin's comments. They were spot on. Uh, you know, I don't mean to pick on our friend in West Virginia, but when your idea for a successful country is that you can't get ahead unless we produce something, it's very vague. There is a concept in economics called the comparative advantage concept. You make what you're good at because otherwise you'll be wasting your time in doing stuff that is, below your skill level, and by the time you get to produce it, even if it's produced locally, you're not going to be able to sell it because it's going to cost you too much. And that's the basics of international trade. We let other countries do produce what they can produce at the best cost that they can do it, and we produce a lot in the United States. We have the comparative advantage of producing some of the best technologies in the world. We specialize in that, and that's our thing. It doesn't make sense to stop producing F-35s and go to build manufacturing, factories in West Virginia, Ohio, whatever, to make brooms and kitchen whatever, or T-shirts or clothing because yeah, it has this idea that politicians talk about. We're going to build factories. We're going to get your unskilled workers to work, and they're not going to make a living because no one is going to be willing to buy a $40 broom, and no one will be willing to buy a $50 T-shirt. That's why when you buy your T-shirt, it doesn't say in the back "Made in Japan." It says it's made in Bangladesh, in places
Bangladesh and Vietnam.
Yeah, Bangladesh, Vietnam, but there is an idea that it makes sense for Levi's or whatever to go to places like that. It's a win-win situation. You got a cost of living that is lower, that is cheaper. It makes sense to send you work there. They get to feed their families or whatever. Yes, sometimes it gets a little crazy with manufacturing like that, and a little good values, I guess, is necessary to make sure that you don't get into, slavery and stuff like, child labor and stuff like that. But,
And the infamous
yeah,
fires in the
yeah,
Bangladesh garment
yeah,
factories, right?
yeah. But the reality is, someone can live on $100 or $150 salary, monthly salary in Vietnam, Bangladesh, China, and make T-shirts. But if you do that same job in the U.S., you'll have to pay him at least minimum wage. And the guy from West Virginia, I bet he's not willing to go to Walmart. It won't be a Walmart because Walmart is all China, and go and spend $15 for a broom. And that's why these empty, promises by our politicians, that we're gonna build factories. Well, factories of what? We do have factories. We gotta build product that we can be good at and sell with an added value to both the economy and to society. Anyway, enough of that. So I mean, it's the little courses sometimes in your free community college would I think would educate our voting populace because the minute a president or whatever would go up there and say crap like that, at least people would be educated to say that. But you just say in the beginning of whatever we're gonna build factories, but it's not necessarily gonna benefit society. I want to go back to gas prices and why they are expensive. I don't know if Gary, you saw the report by the Washington Post today, a thing that meant that it was a report that was that the CIA
posted something about that in the chat, which is linked above. And basically, what it says is that the CIA report to, and I don't know where the Washington Post got this, their sources at the CIA or probably their sources at the White House. But the report said that if it becomes a stalemate over the Strait of Hormuz and the oil, only Iran can handle that. The United States can. We will have to blink first. Is basically what
It says that Iran has basically another 5 months before it can see some real damage to its economy. It also said that they still are sitting on a massive arsenal of missiles and whatever. This new deal.
And by the way, let me just interject.
Go ahead.
This is a CIA intelligence report to the President of the United States who says that there are no armaments left. Our military has been destroyed. Iranians' military has been destroyed. Well, where's he getting his information from? And this speaks to the whole point that he says what he feels is prudent to say at the moment, but not necessarily accurate. Although he is not unusual in this regard when it comes to elected officials. He is in the sense that he has exploited this ability way beyond any other politician, at least in my lifetime, that I can recall.
Right. And the deal that they are trying to get now, how is this different than what Obama did? I mean, he trashed the Obama deal.
But it was Obama's, so it was wrong. It's his and it's right. This gets back to yesterday where I got yelled at for making a comparison that I promised I would never make again about how when Biden finally proposed locking up the border, it was bad, but then after the president came in, I know it's not the exact same program, it was good. And so here we go with he's really got it in for Obama. He really dislikes Obama. Obama's past tense. Trump is current. He doesn't have to worry about what Obama did or what Bill Clinton did or what Jimmy Carter did. Those people are no longer in charge. And I don't know why he obsesses with stuff to the degree that he does.
Yeah, there are multiple good articles today. Is it the 7th today? Yes, I'm reading one. I read one earlier today from the Financial Review. And literally the title said, Trump's Iran deal looks a bit like Obama's. I mean, that's not just you, Gary. A lot of people are noticing this, including that, moratorium, I guess, on the nukes. It's only going to be about 10, 15 years max. But again, he said they will never be able to produce a nuke. Now we're giving them time. But then after that, they are allowed to enrich to a level where they actually can use it for to arm a nuclear head. Also, it's releasing a bunch of cash to Iran. Feel like we heard so much of that planes were full of cash leaving the banks of Maryland, Virginia, which is not true, by the way, because we paid them in Swiss francs, not U.S. dollars. Anyone can check that. So banks were not getting emptied in the tri-state area to send billions of dollars to Iran.
But I saw pictures of pallets of cash.
Yeah, right, but it was not cash held at U.S. banks like the president said.
It probably was AI generated also.
Yeah, you saw it on the internet. But it was, the payment was made in U.S.
My flowers are
we're gonna now end up
breaking through.
Giving them the stuff that the president
Breaking
made
through
fun
the
of
soil.
Obama for doing, for giving them their money back. I don't know where the money that we're gonna give them now, what's those frozen assets for? But it's the same thing. But it's the ultimate thing that the ultimate kind of scenario that, I mean, nothing says that we lost the Iranian. And I know we were very hopeful in the beginning that it's going to be liberation to the Iranian people. You don't see anyone talk about the poor Iranians, and if there is any help on the way, or if there is any things in these deals written in the deals that you that the Iranian regime has to stop.
They collateral damage.
Because
because the reality is, when this war ends, if there's no regime change, and the chances of there being a regime change are very dim, I think is what you're saying, and I would agree.
That's right.
It's going to be retribution time for all those people who we encouraged. Our government encouraged them. Now, they may not have needed our encouragement, but our government encouraged them to take to the streets. We encouraged them to do so. So let's just remember that if, in fact, and I hope I'm wrong, that mass executions occur and mass incarcerations occur because people simply went to the streets to protest the regime. We have some culpability in what happens to them as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not going to be long. I think I just got a notification that I think we're just launching some new attacks in Iran. But the idea that gas prices are going down anytime soon, like you said this a few days ago, Gary, that when they go up like a rocket. When they fall like a feather. Summer driving season is coming. Don't expect gas to be, even if the war ends, even whatever. It's going to be a slow, going down. And I'm just amazed at MAGA how much they are willing to tolerate the pain in order to see, it's not even a pain for the stuff that the president say. Are you willing to tolerate a nuclear Iran? Well, we are going to end up with a nuclear Iran based on this deal, whether it's in 10 years or 15 years from now. It's just a matter of kicking the can down the road. It's not eliminating that threat. I'm going to let others collide.
Thank you very much, Monsef. We'll now go to Daryl, followed by David.
Hey, Gary, can you hear me?
No.
Okay, well, I just got to ask. So I'm going to ask for some latitude here. I want to talk about, and I'm going to tie this to fuel. So before the UAE they had issued, their finance minister had issued a dire warning saying that, hey, if we don't start getting some of this oil out here, we have to start selling oil in Chinese, in yuan, RMB. And so what we're doing right now is we're setting up like currency swap lines for the UAE. And this is really only done in times of emergency, like in 2008 with the crisis, 2020 with COVID. Because what happens is if they start selling oil in Chinese RMB, they don't need to hold all those treasury notes, they don't need to hold American dollars. So this is a precedent. Scott Besson actually went in, he spoke before, I think, the Senate last week about this, and we're setting up currency swap lines to aid with liquidity. The problem is, though, that China has started prepaying Iran for oil. And so there was this thing that we're going to starve Iran, and we're going to basically, break them economically, and, we're going to starve them. But China started prepaying for oil. Iran's sitting on about $40 billion in its central bank. And so the idea, possibly, that another OPEC company, I don't know if you saw yesterday, Saudi Arabia is kicking everybody out. If another OPEC country, decides, hey, with this threat, now could you get threat? If they start threatening, hey, if we can't get through Hormuz, we're going to start making our own deals with China, and we're going to start making our deals in Chinese money. What will happen is you'll see that these countries don't need to hold American dollars because they're now trading oil and other things. And economically, what's going to happen is the American dollar is going to become less valuable because countries don't need to hold it. And what would happen with our debt, you'll see countries, hey, we don't need to hold these trees anymore because we're not, collecting, we're selling money outside of the petrodollar system. So we don't need these dollars. You'll see massive inflation. You will see massive inflation. And I think we're talking about gas. We're talking about gas prices. But this ties into so many other things, right? It ties into interest rates, right? Not just interest rates on mortgages, but just interest rates if you need to go and finance a car, if your credit card, all these other things that can be devastating for our economy. And the idea that we're possibly setting up a swap line, currency swap line for the UAE is something we really need to take seriously. The idea that China is pre-buying oil or paying for oil that they haven't even acquired yet from Iran just to hold up Iran, it kind of feels like there's an economic alliance that's building against this country, and it's not just about the price of gas. It's about how all of these things will impact us. You're going to see prices going up in the supermarkets, prices at restaurants. Prices are just going to start to go up. And someone said something earlier. What was it Monsef said? Monsef said something really, really brilliant, but I lost it. That's all I wanted to say. We need to start thinking about not just the price of, the cost at the pump, but what is happening globally, economically. And the UAE leaving OPEC is not a good sign for the future of the American dollar. That's all I want to say.
Thank you for that, Daryl. Ching, we've been trying to invite you up, and Francine also, but it's not working. I know you were up once. Maybe if you leave the room and come back and try again, we'll be able to bring you up. It's a technical issue. Monsef mentioned about he just got an alert about attacks. I've got that information for you. U.S. forces, this is according to the U.S. Central Command, targeted Iranian military facilities. They say were responsible for launching a series of unprovoked missile, drone, and small boat attacks against American warships transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Interesting, given the fact that they denied that our ships were under attack. Just want to point that out.
I remember now, Gary. I remember what you had said earlier about the CIA and that memo that dropped earlier. Chuck Schumer said something a couple of months back. He said, "Don't mess with the intelligence agencies because they can screw you 6 ways to Sunday. And no matter how powerful you think you are, leave the intelligence agencies alone." And I think this is the intelligence agencies flexing their muscle just a little.
Well, we don't know whether that leak came from the White House or the intelligence agencies. Both are possible. Let me go back to what CENTCOM said. I'm going to quote from their press release. U.S. forces intercepted unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes as U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers transited the Strait of Hormuz to the Gulf of Oman on May the 7th. That's today. CENTCOM says that the Iranian facilities targeted include, quote, missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance nodes. So supposedly the strikes were carried out at multiple locations. So what this means, is this like a one-off, or are we back at it? I don't know. If we're back at it, does that mean that the ceasefire has ended? Does that mean that the clock starts ticking again, even though it probably always was, but the president claimed that the clock stopped ticking on the War Powers Act? Does that mean that he has to go now before Congress for authorization? Will he go before Congress for authorization? I don't know the answer to any of these questions, to be honest with you. Thank you for that, Daryl. David, followed by Ching.
Gary. Fantastic discussion, by the way. Yeah, I think that we're headed for a cliff of sorts with this oil. I think that our Arab allies know that the Iranians can control the game here. Recall they're going back and forth with regard to letting us use their airspace. I'm referring to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. They're obviously very concerned about the protections that we need to provide for them. The UAE, as was mentioned, is going alone on the OPEC game now. But Iran has a history of handling these issues. They have a history of, I mean, I heard it argued here that they can just start burning their oil fields and start shutting them down and waiting us out. There's all kinds of ways that they can play this. So the fact that we're trying to blockade them is great, but if they can wait it out and the rest of the world starts to suffer, I'm hearing it argued right now, Gary, that even though we have a lot of oil, we can't transport fuel when we fly somewhere else. So airline companies are at the mercy of wherever it is they're flying to make sure they can refuel. So who's going to want to get on a plane and go to a middle economy country like Vietnam or Thailand, where they could potentially be out of fuel, and you're sandbagged in a country waiting this out? So, the poor nations of the world, obviously, we don't give a damn about because, they can just suffer and white knuckle it and deal with it in their own way. But this is going to trickle to our first world allies in Japan and Vietnam. And, these are going to have unknown consequences on the stock market, on the international markets, on our bond market. It's already trending higher. This is going to cause pain points with regard to housing, automobiles that were mentioned. All the borrowing that goes on in this great country is tied to these indexes. And you can't get investment over here at the lower rates that we need them to be at to keep inflation down when we're at risk of defaulting, when we're at risk of rising military costs to defend this. So, everything that Trump sort of messaged and attempted to sell going into the election has completely not materialized, in my opinion. And I hope the American people are happy that he's in the White House now and not Kamala Harris, who potentially would not have done any of this. So here we are. We're playing the game now. Israel obviously is very sensitive to these talking points, this one-page memo that's come out, basically spelling out what's on the table here. And they're obviously a kink and a thorn in the side of making sure that we don't go back to what it is we originally had with Obama 10 years ago, Gary. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the hemorrhaging's got to stop at some point. I mean, Americans, we're going into the summertime, Gary. I mean, Americans are having to travel more domestically. A lot of Americans drive SUVs. They're pro-American. They buy the big trucks. And all this is eating into their gas costs and their ability to spend time or extra money on their families. So those are going to be some serious pain points this summer if gas prices continue to surge, which I think they are. Everything's pointing that way. So, I think Trump needs to get his head wrapped around this. The War Powers Act, as you mentioned, is sunsetting. And, I think it's time that our intelligence apparatuses, in tandem with our elected officials outside of the presidency, get together and solve this mess before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And Shing, you get the last.
Are you calling me?
If your name is Ching, I certainly am.
Hi. Hi, Gary. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Marshall. Hi, Scott. Let's see. I'm just referring to early, isn't it Alan? I forgot who was it. Oh, Steve. We're talking about China, America. And America is always, has been service-based economy. And I read some article right now. It's actually good that we are not based in manufacture, because when you rely on when you have manufacture based economy, and then the oil assumption is even higher, and we're probably going to be in shitholes. And in in terms of China economy right now, I was just looking for, even 4 weeks ago, the American uh, dollar trading is actually not as good as in, what do you call it? Actually, no, never mind. The American dollar right now is, today is 6.8, and 4 weeks ago is 7.29. That means, yeah. And what else? We're talking about China. Okay, oil. When I was in China just 6 months ago, and we talk about this, economy, and then lately talk to more people. When we have a phone conversation, and my friend say you don't have to worry about oil shortage. China has a huge reserve, about 5 6 years of, they dig these holes in the ground, and they have plenty of supply of oil. So to them, it's not critical that the Middle Eastern and other countries that is in shortage of oil. And as gasoline price goes up, this is a much more close to everyday life issue, except some people don't use cars, and then they don't feel the pain. Hearing somebody else's pain is different. When you go on to pump those gasoline, I take pictures of the gasoline. I took a picture about 3 weeks ago, then I took a picture just about last week, and I use plus version, and my oil tank is not that huge, but it increased. Like, it used to be like $40. I can take care of the whole tank. Now it's more than $60. So it is pretty ouch. So I don't use car every day. It's more like a entertainment equipment for me. But now I have to reduce my entertainment purpose. That is one thing. And then airline has increased greatly the price. Um, this morning at 3 o'clock, Gary, I got a text message. Of course, I saw it only later at 8 a.m. And somebody bought a Asiana ticket using my credit card, and somehow, my credit card has compromised. It was quite a lot of money, close to $1,800. So I was assuming it's a international flight, probably round trip. So people are desperate, and people are breaking the laws. So of course I canceled my credit card, but it's paying the butt. When you cancel a credit card, right? Sometimes, your utility is going to the credit card and deduct automatically. Now you have to call all the companies, to tell them the new card. So it's kind of a tedious and senseless work. Yeah. So is your title is, are we at the fuel cost tipping point? And I hear Gary said you hope so. Um, I deeply doubt it is at the tipping point. Um, it's gonna go high, maybe go low a little bit. Yeah. So I think it's not tipping point. Okay, I'm done talking.
Thank you, Ching. Appreciate that. Ching, Monsef mentioned that at $100, I don't know whether he said a week or a month, in China, people can live pretty well. Is is the Chinese economy similar to that of Vietnam and Bangladesh? That it doesn't take much in U.S. dollars to satisfy the economic needs of folks?
Well, I don't think you can compare to Bangladesh. I think China's price is going higher and higher, and it is the low price is like a street food, very yummy street food. I can eat lunch every day for $3. $3, yeah. So I convert when I was in China, it was like a dollar equals 7 Chinese yuan. So a really yummy bowl of soup is less than 30 yuan. So you figure, and that is what chit 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 6I'm counting Chinese. Yeah, that's okay, $4, And but the other thing is high, like a high end. They import lots of stuff. Like Chinese people like to use a brand name, and just like ridiculously higher than US. So it is people who are very well-to-do. They like to show off their status by dress, brand name shirts, outfits, and then carry brand name bags, and wearing tons of jewelries. And there's I don't know the percentage of how many wealthy people, and then you have very bottom class, and they probably can only afford to cook their own meal at home, not even go out for spending 30 yuan a meal. So yeah, and speaking of their salary, retirement salary is much higher now. About 15 years ago, my mom was retired, and her monthly stipend was 2,000 yuan. So you figure, yeah, not even $400. But today, people's retirement salary can go between 5,000 to 10,000, depending on your work, your class. If you are communist, long communist people, members, like my father was communist since he was 15. So they all passed away, my mom and father, so I can talk about them anything. And my father has very high salary because he's an old communist person. Therefore, he and his wife, they can afford to hire 2 nannies. Now, that is talking about low labor in US. I can't even hire someone come to me for 3 hours a day, when I have surgery. So that is a difference in China. You can feel really, you can get help if you have money, reasonable amount of money. We're not talking about a lot of money. Yeah. So I'm done.
Thank you for that, Ching. So it's probably a mixed bag. It wasn't quite as simplistic as maybe suggested. Thank you. Pat, I guess you're going to get the last word.
Thank you, Gary. Gary, you always host a really enlightening program, and I really appreciate the way you run your rooms. I just want to give you your flowers. Yes, I'm saying yes to that, but I'm not sure what the true tipping point is, and I think it's different for each person, right? And so for me personally, no, it has not affected me, grace of God, right? However, I volunteer at a senior center here, and I'm in a small rural town. I'm on the coast of California, and so the price of gas is high, and definitely our truckers are complaining about $7 diesel, things like that are affecting. Well, if they're not affecting yet, they will be affecting prices of food. And so what I'm with is at the center we have volunteers that do delivery of food. We have a meal program that do delivery of food.
And in Detroit, a lot of Meals on Wheels.
Oh, yay! Ours is called Meals That Connect, and we do have meals on wheels in different towns nearby. And so the volunteers, most of them, well, I should say, all of them are retired, number one. And so most retired people are on fixed incomes, some getting more than others depending on pensions and so forth. But they have begun that little chatter of it's really dipping into my cost, although they are eligible for mileage reimbursement, but not at the rate that the gas is going up, right? And most of them have chose not to take that mileage reimbursement because they've been able to do this. However, now they're saying, well, we're probably gonna have to start, tapping into that reimbursement. And by tapping into that reimbursement, it does affect the bottom line of the meal program because, of course, the meal program is relying on that they're not going to tap into the reimbursement, which helps put money in the pot to keep the program going. So when the title and the question is, that tipping point, again, I'm going to say that tipping point is different for each person. And just think about our volunteers like you, Gary, and others that may not be able to afford the price of gas. It trickles down to our seniors that only get that visit from one person each day. And I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for letting me speak.
Yeah, when I was doing Meals on Wheels, I was not retired, but there were a lot of retirees doing that. And I'm hoping that that's a good question. Maybe I should check with some of the Meals on Wheels programs whether they have volunteers dropping out because they can't afford the gasoline. That's an excellent point. This is what I love about our get-togethers. People bring up things that I've never thought of before, and that's one very well worth looking into. Thank you, Pat. Matza, if you're back, go ahead. Maybe you get the last one.
No, I just wanted to, clarify what it about the South Asia. Minimum wage, and this is a monthly salary. As of 2018, it was $72 a month. They had an increase in 2024, and now it's $113 a month. I would say that that's why big companies are going out there to manufacture, especially clothing items and stuff. China used to be in that bag a while back. They still have a big swath of the population that gets lower salaries, but they have, as you know, the clothing manufacturing companies have moved out of China. They diversified. Now they go into Vietnam, Bangladesh, all that. One, because China is moving up in the world. They have a middle class that is expanding, like King said. They have a middle class that's growing very fast. They still have a lower class that she said. For example, people that can afford nannies. Well, those nannies are not making a lot of money. So the numbers are out there. So I'll just say it. If there is a group of laborers that can work for you for $113 a month, it wouldn't make sense to produce the same stuff in West Virginia and have to pay someone $1,200 a month. The same articles that would be produced would be worth a whole lot more if you sell them that way. That's all. But the low wages in Southeast Asia is a reality. We're still, it's still out there, and a lot of Western companies are taking advantage of that. That's all.
Thank you, Matza. Folks, there's some more breaking news that has to do with tariffs. It looks like the president's tariff program may be in jeopardy. If you go to the chat, which is linked above, I have linked to a story there about that. And also, I just want to remind everybody that we're going to be playing around with a live event twice this weekend. Saturday night at midnight New York time and Sunday night at midnight New York time on Substack. This is not to replace Clubhouse. It's just an augmentation of what we do here using a completely different format. But we thought it'd be interesting to play around with it. So that's also linked to in the chat. where it says main chat above. So you can subscribe to my Substack. That way you will be notified whenever we go live on Substack or when I decide to post something on Substack, which I think that you might be interested in. Folks, we are here Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock New York time. So until 5 o'clock New York time tomorrow, for the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum, everybody be safe, be well, and peace out.
Whose name ain't Mike Johnson?
No. The people in the chat was confusing. They said Mike Jones, and I
said Mike Jones.
Like back then.
I said Big Mike Johnson.
Yeah, I know what you said. I was confused. I was confusion. Okay.
But I knew you were talking about the speaker.
She get her voice back in acting, and then she stays problematic. Like,
oh my God. Brother, I wish that you could turn that love that you really had for me around and show it a different way. Because I know that these are just love texts. But I'm not receptive to that type of love. Like,
Oh.
Well, you know personally, he only wishes you love and happiness. I know he does. And I had to remind myself of that because, it doesn't quite come across that way. You know what I mean? So I have to remind myself. That's why I'm saying it out loud. I wish that he could turn his love
all kinds of better.
Yeah.
You're like
Yes.
a much older, like 2.5 times my age.
Yeah.
Sister. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm like your granny. Forget sister.
Oh.
You need to treat me like your granny.
Well, he also wishes, he wishes that for you. Yeah.
Ben loved hanging out with old women. he got the boys contemporary Sherry, and now he got 87-year-old first lady.
Oh my God. Wait, who was the first one?
Sherry. The boys contemporary.
God. Who took Patrick Henry out on a prom date?
That was insane.
That was funny. Because I had no idea her boyfriend at the time was named Patrick. That's insane. So many.
But we're going to call them the band and the old lady gang.
You can't do that because we open a restaurant, the health department will shut it down. If you get that,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That restaurant was so nasty, I would not step foot in that place.
For real.
What restaurant is that? So I don't go.
That's Candy's. Yeah, Candy and her mom.
They shut it down, right?
It shut down. Oh. Yeah, I heard terrible things about that place anyway.
I heard
Well, I heard the food was good.
Well, it should. It had, toenails.
What?
People stick real deep in there. They said you stuck your foot in it. You said because I did.
Literally.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Well, wait a minute. So are all of their restaurants closed? Because they had like 2 or 3 of them. Tug kept opening and stuff.
Yeah. And when they got divorced, it was over.
It's for the best.
Yeah, I thought they closed it because they had. This is why I thought it was so dirty, y'all. I thought it was so dirty because they didn't have enough staff, and it was because it was like people knew who he was. It was always a lot of people, kind of like, I don't know if people in the DMV know about Milk and Honey, but kind of like that.
Oh. Yeah, I know they wasn't washing their hands. They was probably throwing hot food in the refrigerator.
What? Wait a minute, but didn't all of that really come out? It came about with that food influencer, Mike Wig, though, because he said the service was bad.
Yeah, because people was complaining. People was complaining about the long wait, the service, and it always being so packed. So I think it's because they were trying to I mean, I don't know, but it just sounds like they didn't have enough people in there to service all the traffic.
You know what? I bet they ran out of food too.
Well, it sounds like they needed more. They need to hire some people.
You know, they did a show
Well, it's gone.
on Bravo. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that show called? I think it was maybe OLG.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So on the show, that's how I saw TT, that how it was like always overflowed.
Like they had staffing problems, management problems, hiring family problems. Like it was just all of.
Your mama, do you like milk and honey?
Who said I went there? I just said it was a place in the DMV for people that knew.
So you hear the shade in your mama's voice? Milk
What?
and honey.
There's no shade.
What is it? Is it a restaurant or?
Ask your mama.
Yeah, it's a restaurant.
I've been there only one time, and I don't think I'll ever return.
What is this place, yo?
It's a restaurant. It's a restaurant, and you get like mainly it's like a lot of brunch, but it is expanded now. It has like multiple locations across the area, and you could get like breakfast slash lunch, like soul food type food.
Okay.
Like chicken and waffles. I mean, not chicken and waffles, but like that.
Got you.
So is it better than the Hush Harbor?
Oh Jesus!
I'm gonna be honest. That one still took me out. I don't think I've recovered from that one.
Did anybody ever visit Sweetie Pies?
Wait.
Closed them?
Sweet potato pie or what?
Sweetie Pie.
Miss
Robbie's restaurant.
Oh
Miss
no.
Robbie.
No.
My sister. Yeah. She said you gotta wait in line. Well, this was years ago, but she said it's a long wait, but the food is good. I was thinking about it when your mom was talking about the long lines. I remember watching Sweetie Pies, and there was long lines out there. But I know that her place closed up as well.
All
Her
of
son
them?
killed. Yeah, her son killed the nephew or something.
Right, but they wrapped up all the restaurants after that?
I think it was going before. And then the last restaurant actually was a victim of the hospital expanded, so that they had to close.
Oh.
So she didn't want to close that one. That one was the upper one.
That was like the first one, right?
No, it was the last one, but it was like her life's work, the one that she really wanted to open.
Her dream
was
Hello,
the one. But they all shut down. Ben said he been before. How was it? Was the food good?
No, I was responding to the Hush Harbor.
Oh, Ben's been to the Hush Harbors.
Yeah. I think it's in Adams Morgan. I was over there. I can't remember.
And you give it a good rating?
Yeah, it was fine. I went by myself, took a book or an article. It was fun. Yeah. I mean, for me, bars are generally fine. You have booze and good companion. It was fine. They take your phone away. It's nice.
Dude.
Oh, why?
That's the thing. It's a phone-free bar, so you actually talk to the people you're with.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's not on their phone. It's a great idea, but it's inspired by honoring Negroes who went into the Hush Harbors to worship and plot escapes and resistance against the master. It's a very nice idea. I think it's an Adams Morgan. Let's see.
Yeah, I think it is.
And they have little bites. They don't have really a restaurant, but they have little bites. And it's on 8th Street, yeah. And the drinks aren't crazy either. Yeah, I'll be over there next week. Okay. That's what's up.
He gonna meet you over there. Owen. I heard her.
But I feel like if I go to DC, I would like to get. And that's a bar.
Yeah, what? No, you're not coming to DC to go to a park.
Wait a minute, why brother can't go to the bar?
He doesn't drink.
He's wholesome.
That's what I mean. He can get some soda water.
Oh, God.
No, there's a bar. He
Well,
goes
mine-
called softball.
He could go to Salamander and get a soda water.
Not salamander. Oh my God. Why would you send him to salamander for
Because
a soda
it's owned
water?
by a black woman. Hello?
Wait, somebody said I get my ass?
Messi, don't listen to your mama. Your mama doing too much right now.
No, I'm not. What's wrong with
not
Salamander?
Not you.
It's out of the way.
No, it's not.
Well,
Which one you talking about?
if you meet me over there, I'll go.
Hold on 1 second.
Which one you talking about, Hurricane?
Hold on, I'm at Whole Foods 1 second. Maybe I'm thinking about the one near the wharf.
Oh, it's by the IHS. It's down there by everything else. What's going on?
The wharf is ass. I was over there 2 weeks ago. Ass. I'm never going back. Too many
What?
blocks.
It's everywhere. That's all of DC.
That's not true.
Very strange description.
The only thing that's not all the way back black anymore is Georgetown and the
I was
Palisades.
at the National Cathedral. There was 2 Negroes there.
Oh well, I think the assistant rector is Kelly Brown Douglas, so she's the sister.
That was the other
Come on
Negro.
in.
Oh no, that's not the other Negro.
Okay. So you and the other nigga. That type of church is your type of church.
Yeah, I was over there.
I can't sell you the Catholics, but I can give you to him.
I was over there. It was beautiful. I don't know. Brother Leon. I might go to, I just passed St. Simon the other day. And I was like, I might have to go. One time.
Yeah, I think y'all should take brother. Why are you doing him like that? I don't like that.
Brother to have one drink and he would be on this app screaming and hollering.
He doesn't need a drink. He can get a mocktail. He can get a non-alcoholic beer. He just wants to go for the ambiance. He wants to go and experience it.
Y'all are acting like y'all know this man's taste.
He just said it. I'm just going by what the man said.
Okay.
Can I bring my prop?
No.
Oh, yeah. No.
Can I bring my sweatpants?
No, you definitely can't do all that if you're going to salamander.
No, you can't do all of that.
Why are you doing that, brother?
I was just asking.
You could do that at the gathering spot.
Oh yeah, the gathering spot's pretty yeah.
Is that a Negro?
It is.
Yeah, it's a Negro place.
Straight out. It's straight out of Atlanta.
I like the gathering spot. I like the sound. I like this thing. Yeah, I've been to DC enough that I just somewhere really nice. Somewhere wasn't a person. I'd rather just go. If it's medium okay, I just rather go. But it's gonna be underwhelmed. I'd rather be underwhelmed than a black spot.
Oh my. What? Oh, not underwhelming.
I'm not saying that it's gonna be underwhelming. I'm just
No, I got you.
Yeah.
Saying if it doesn't meet my expectation, I would rather be in a space where I'm contributing my funds to a black community versus going and spending my money and not be moved at all by it.
You know what? What's a great jazz spot in DC? Surely they have a Blue Note.
Your mama? I don't know. Brother, yeah, we can't see your beautiful badge with the ticket in front of it. I just want to say. And the hurricane, yours might be hiding underneath of there. I think maybe we should cash it out. I don't know what you're talking about. He's in the 2%. He's almost there. He only needs a few more seconds.
Moving further from the crowd.
But you can't see it.
So I was going to answer your question about jazz. I don't know all the spots, but there is a spot in Georgetown called Blues Alley that I go to from time to time. That's one of the main jazz spots that attracts the big names and the not so big names. But all the serious jazz artists perform there from all over the world, actually. And I've gone there many times. So Blues Alley is what it's called in Georgetown. I've seen Michelle Farrell there.
Yes, I love her.
Yeah, this was before she,
got sick.
Oh, while you're on the microphone, I think Spiritus wanted to ask you something. I don't know if he got a chance to ask you.
We don't have to bring it up. We don't have to.
Oh, okay. He talked about it. Oh, got it.
I talked about it before.
Oh,
we don't have to bring it up. You're talking about jazz, which I support. So.
Oh, okay. You weren't here for the Miles Davis conversation.
Oh, what about Miles Davis?
Y'all, neither one of y'all. I was looking for both of y'all yesterday.
What was the conversation? Because I
don't know. Bam was saying something about it was one voice that he would take out or something. I don't know. It was definitely probably triggering.
I mean. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna pass over it either. I mean, because there's other work that he does, right? Ramas, other than kind of blue. And so
Don't
if
trust
you're
what he's saying. Don't trust what he's saying. Don't trust what
myself. Otherwise, you're all making shit up, and I'm not gonna crash over it.
That's I don't want you to crash. He wanted to have the conversation.
Serious, just wait until he comes back, because I mean, ain't no point in talking about it. Like, we're not, there's no point in getting choices. Because most of us don't know jazz like that.
That's fine. I'm going to a play anyway. So.
What are you going to see?
I don't even know. I know where it is.
Wait a minute. Should you be there already? What time does the play start?
I'm going to it starts at 7:30. I'll be lucky if I get there on time. It's on 45th. And I think it's a staged reading or something. I don't even know. I'm just fucking going.
Okay. Well, I'm ready.
I think it's a fucking musical. I'm not happy about that.
Okay. Alrighty. Is it a new musical?
Alright. Yeah. This is not even. Who knows if it's even gonna be a thing? I don't know.
Oh well, you said it's just a preview, or is it?
Well, or is this a preview? It's just a stage. No, it's just.
Oh, it's a reading. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's one of those things you commit to like a month or two ago, and you buy tickets, and then it's the day of, and you're like, fuck, why did I do that? That's where I'm.
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to support the art. But Hurricane won't answer my question.
I didn't see it, but I know I owe you some info. I'm so sorry. I'll get to it before.
It's all right. We'll deal with it another day.
Oh, okay. But you asked me a question in the room chat?
Yeah.
You're not gonna find that. That was 2 hours ago.
Oh.
No, it was about the Met Gala and Connor Shorey's horrible outfit that any chick in her late 20s would have wore at the office at her marketing firm in Midtown. And it set the gay community back about 10 years. But you liked it, I heard. So, I mean,
Oh, you know, when you look like
I'm
Connor
getting on the
Story,
train, so I can't even argue with you.
yeah, that's fine. When you look like Connor Story, you can wear just about anything you want. Doesn't really matter.
I mean, I didn't hate it, but I just thought